Hi there. It's October the 23rd, and we're continuing our journey through Paul's second letter to Timothy, and we're reading today from verses 1 through to verse 21 of chapter 2. Paul has been encouraging his beloved Timothy from prison. Paul is in prison at this time, probably in Rome, and he is encouraging Timothy to stay faithful in times of great adversity, because there was probably adversity coming on the church in Ephesus where Timothy was as well. And so Paul is encouraging Timothy to stay faithful, and he uses three pictures of faithfulness and perseverance in doing that. He talks about the soldier who continues to persevere and keeps on track even when he faces difficulty. He doesn't get involved in civilian affairs. He continues on his service. And then he uses the picture of the athlete who trains hard to gain the prize and who is committed to what he's doing. And lastly, he speaks of the farmer who works hard in order to get that crop in. And so Paul is saying, Timothy, continue in this faithful service, continue in this perseverance. And then Paul points to Jesus himself, Jesus who suffered so that he could gain the end prize, this high calling that God gave him, and that meant that he was lifted up because he stayed faithful even when he suffered. And Paul himself points to himself and says, well, look, even I'm in chains at the moment, Timothy. I am suffering, so you also are invited to suffer. You are allowed to join in to fill up this suffering that Jesus is going through. And Paul then speaks a kind of a poem or a short word, a series of words that really linguistically are built together like a poem. And he says that if we die with him, we will live with him. If we endure patiently, we will reign with him. If we deny him, he will deny us. If we are faithless towards him, he will still be faithful, because he cannot deny himself. God is bound by his own word. And so Paul is saying to Timothy, stay faithful, even in adversity. But then Paul goes on to highlight the problems that there are in Ephesus, and there's a particular error teaching that is going around about the resurrection having already happened, and he names Hymenaeus and Philetus as being those who are putting around this false teaching. And Paul actually says this is not going to bring any good. In fact, he uses strong words. He uses the word catastrophe. This is going to bring ruin to those who listen to it, and literally uses the Greek word catastrophe. It's going to be a catastrophe if people take on board this kind of teaching. Not only that, but this false teaching that is being spread will go and the word he uses in Greek is gangrena. It will be like a gangrene through the body. That this is what false teaching is doing, and therefore he encourages Timothy to keep people as firm in their foundation, keeping close to Jesus. And he says that everyone who uses the name of the Lord must leave wickedness behind. There must be no being mixed up in this kind of foolish talk. What Paul in Greek says is kenophonia, empty chatter, empty talk. He says what we're needing is that close walk, that close perseverance with Jesus, and not listening to the false teaching. And then Paul, in the close of our reading, he compares the service that is being brought to God by various people. He compares it to the vessels that are in use in a great house. He says in a great house there are gold and silver, there are wood and clay vessels of different kinds. Actually, if we put away dishonor, then we're going to be vessels of honor. He said if we put away this false teaching, then we're going to be vessels, gold and silver vessels in God's hand that are pleasing to him and are fit for his holy work. Paul is really encouraging Timothy here not to be discouraged, not to be drawn away by the false teaching or by the pressure and the persecution. We all face pressures, we all face adversity in one way or another in our lives, and we can hear Paul here saying that if we stay faithful to him, he remains faithful. If we deny him, then we have no way back. But let's stay faithful, let's persevere, let's be like the athlete who is training for the prize, like the soldier who doesn't get distracted, like the farmer who will see the share of the crop coming in. Have a very good October 23rd.